Greetings, business owners and managers. Wes Walters here, and welcome to another awesome episode of Business Highlights, CX Business Highlights. Today, I am blessed to have the owner, the founder of Sacred Waters, and I have definitely been a Sacred Waters client for quite some time, and they have definitely earned the badge of excellent customer experience and amazing customer service. Not so much because I am an existing customer. It's because they are so good why I am an existing customer. And this company clearly understands the value of a lifetime customer. So not only have they had me for over a decade, as my kids are moving into adulthood, because they understand the value of a lifetime customer, they have not just one child, two kids, so three customers of the lifetime. When you spread that out and you stop thinking about the quick smash and grab and you start thinking long term, what can I do to Mr. Walters so that I have him, not only him, but his tribe for another 25 years? A quarter of a century we're thinking about. Think about this. A quarter of a century for me, a quarter of a century for two kids. You're talking about 75 years if you do this correctly. Welcome, Ms. Jorae. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm doing very well. I'm happy to be here. This is a good place. I love when you pop up on my timeline and I see all that energy. So I'm grateful to be here and be a part of it.
Well, I'm so happy to have you. It's so important. Um, a lot of the a lot of my viewers are female, and just like you, they say, "Man, you have so much energy. You're so much fire, fire, fire. You need some water." So if you look at my feed, I often try to interview women because I need the balance in feminine energy. Because I know I'm very. A lot of people say you're militant. Like I'm like, if you want to call ROTC military or Boy Scouts, but it's so important to have female energy. So I appreciate you being here. And let's take a deep dive. Let's just jump in and have some fun, share some knowledge with the viewers, your tribe as well as my tribe. And at the end, we're gonna have a lot of takeaways for the viewers. Fair enough.
That sounds good to me.
All right. So tell me a little bit about how it started. How long have you been in business? Tell me your entrepreneurial journey. Is this your first business? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, let me just introduce to your audience. I am Kelly Jorae. I'm the founder and CEO of Sacred Waters Wellness Art Studio, which has recently expanded to the Functional Wellness Institute at Sacred Waters. And we have been in business for, this is our 17th year. Literally, I'm going into my 18th year now. As a physical brick and mortar, just outside of Atlanta. I still consider it the Atlanta metro area because it is growing, but I am in Fayetteville, Georgia, which has become the home to one of the largest, movie film studios. And it just went under a name change. So, that area is growing and the metropolitan area of Atlanta is growing. But I work with people all over the world now. And as I've expanded to a telehealth holistic clinic. So, I'm hitting and pushing all the buttons, in terms of holistic health and wellness.
Now, was that the result of the lockdown of COVID, or this is something that you wanted to do before the lockdown?
Well, actually, before the lockdown of COVID, I had built an online course, that had become, very much a thing that, became demanding for people who are busy. And most of the people that I work with are busy professional women, career oriented women, and even busy moms that are staying at home and they are running that corporate home. They're running their home as a corporation, with managing everything there. But it started pre-COVID and, things took, a little turn for most of us during that time. So it's took some time for me to get back to the virtual space of working with my clients. And it's still, tough because of, the mindset of just humans. I'm going to just leave it at that, making that adjustment of seeing someone in person versus seeing someone virtually when it comes to your health and wellness. But I've built out an amazing system for my clients, and it makes impact. It gets results. And I love it. Like it's like driving a new car.
It's beautiful. I remember I was in therapy right when the pandemic hit. Like my first session was like they officially said this is a shutdown, and like on a Monday and Friday, and I called them up. I'm like, look, I don't have COVID. Can I still come to your office? They're like, no, we're doing virtual. Again, this was at the beginning. So virtual meeting. I'm like, nah, it's not going to be the same. Nah, I need to be in the office. They're like, hey, we can't take guests. We cannot have you in the office. And I remember feeling cheated. I was like, this ain't the same.
Yeah.
Fast forward. This is all we do now, right?
Right.
So it's funny, man. What's important, and I want the viewers, I think you just sailed past it, but I want to stop and acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
This lady has a brick and mortar for 17 years. So she pays rent. She has employees, has to pay electricity, Wi-Fi. It's not in her basement. This is not in her attic. She has a brick and mortar, and I think that should be recognized. 2 decades. Man, you are definitely an inspiration, and I want to acknowledge you. And because you just so casually just sailed over at like, oh, it's only 17 years. Like, no, man, that's major. That's major. So salute to you. Even the horns are rejoicing.
Thank you. Yeah. But yeah. Thank you so much for acknowledging that. Yeah, and I don't really brush over it because it's not easy, getting here. And it took me a lot of time to get out of my head and become even, more entrepreneurial in the work that I do, because it's one thing to say you're an entrepreneur, but to actually move like an entrepreneur and make decisions like an entrepreneur is different. Because for a very long time, I operated as a mom and pop and as a small business owner. It's one thing to be a small business operator, but to be an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur for me is scaling and looking at your money differently and making wise decisions. And for me, being a passionate practitioner, working in a place of compassion and health and wellness, you want to make an impact because it's not just about getting money from the person in front of you. It's about getting them impact, helping them to make the impact and make transformation. So I like to take my clients from like a place of misery to paradise, from misery island to paradise island. And it's not like, I'm, putting some fingernail polish on some fingers. No offense, to that, because I love that and I value, pampering and self-care, but it does take a lot of processing and mindful work when I'm working with a client. And so it's taken me a long time by, just getting out of my way. When we hear that, and I've been in my way, I probably have limited myself, but now I'm in this place of expanding and scaling. And that means, helping myself and of course helping my clients, but those, bringing on other practitioners, whether they are, a nurse practitioner. I just, made an agreement with a chiropractor that I'm bringing on board, to work with me as a team. So it's taken me a while to get here, and I'm just grateful, to be in a place to help others and to help myself along the way.
So I want to touch on 2 things. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. What advice do you give to someone who have plateaued and they are right in the transition between being self-employed and being a business owner. A lot of people, oh, I'm a business owner. No, you're self-employed. Yes.
Right.
Let's acknowledge the people who have been doing it for 17 years. You are not the same. They're not like us.
Right. Right. Yeah.
No. You are self-employed, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not a shade. It's okay. But when you have employees, when you're able to, like, listen, I pay rent here every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different type. Like, self-employed people don't have those type of challenges.
Right.
What advice do you give to someone, again, moving from self-employed to business owner or entrepreneur, as you would say it?
This is going to always be like a part of my response to a question like that, because it's dealing with growth, and experience is important, and information, is key. So we can say information or education, however, whatever toot your horn in terms of that. So for me, it's been mentorship. Each time that I've, invested in myself, and getting that mentorship, that has helped me to move to the next level. Because when you're trying to figure it out by yourself, it's very hard, right? And life is hard, but we can choose our hard, and you want to choose that hard that's going to get you to the other side. So mentorship, education, and creating that experience that you want. So you may see what you want, or you may know what it is that you want, find the best example and learn from that. If you can create a mentorship with someone that is in a position to help you, and there's a lot of that going on, hence the online courses, so you can find just about anything, that you need digitally. But for me, I want a high touch experience. And that's what I give to my clients, a high touch experience. They're working with me one-on-one, in most cases, in addition to my locally based services. But as a functional medicine certified coach, we're working virtually, and some of them may work, with me. They may have that, benefit to be able to come in for an appointment. But as far as that transition from self-employed or an independent contractor, because people understand that now with all the new apps that employ people now to do work, like, the driving apps. I'm not advertising for anybody in particular, but we use all these different tools, and these are independent contractors, or people who are self-employed. And if you want to move into a space of operation, I would say the more information you have, the less mistakes you're going to experience, and the less loss you're going to have in terms of, the money. So investing in yourself is very important. Don't deny yourself to learn from an experience. And again, it's not always going to be easy, but choose your heart.
Listen, my followers are going to think I scripted this. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not script this. She agreed that mentors and coaches are the cheat code. That's the hack. I promise I did not let her know I was going to ask her that. Here it is again.
No,
the hack is getting a coach. You accelerate your growth by just tapping into someone who's done it before. You don't need to make their mistakes. It'll be like, hey, don't do that. Go left. Don't go right.
Right. Yeah. I can almost cry, because right now the coach that I'm working with, she's a great producer. And she is in the space of functional medicine. But like, I just want to go live in that lady's house. And she has actually made a challenge. Now, and I'm not there yet, where she brings in people into her home. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I want to go eat. And, but having that connection, and there's levels, to your mentorship. Sometimes you're not ready. I'm not ready for that, really. But that's a motivating factor for me to get to that space, right? Because I'm learning a lot in business that is just not readily available, and you're not going to get it from some, you're just not going to get it from a TikTok post. You can get little, things that motivate you from, of course, social media, but you got to go much deeper than that. And you're not going to always get it from a digital download. You really want that connection with someone who has experience and they know. And so in the space of, holistic health and wellness, I've been in this space for over 25 years. Really, I should say 30, because I was, much younger, when I started for my own personal journey. And then I, started working as an employee. And then I went to owning a brick and mortar back in the late 90s before the social media, blitz, before all of that. And then I started a family, and so I kind of wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, because a lot of us would say that, and I was itching to get back to work. So I went back to work in corporate for a while, and and just kind of just kept it. Holistic wellness it lives in my heart. So I came back to that, and and now I'm mentoring, the clients in that space so that they have systems that they can work with for the rest of their life. I don't want them to I don't want to be a crutch to them. I want them to be able to walk away from working with me to continue on and, and build from there. So that's how I work with my clients.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You touched briefly about partnership. What is your strategy, or I guess your vetting process with seeking allies to, I guess, continue your gospel?
Wow. Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard. Don't lead with your heart, because every time I've done that, I've made a mistake. Definitely, look at that individual, and how they can enhance your business and how you can enhance, so that there is that collaboration. But you want to look at that person's experience. Even if they don't have the experience that you need, they have some life experience. They have some work experience, hopefully. And even if it's a college student, look at their discipline with their education and their schoolwork and their commitment. What are they associated with? What organizations do they belong in? Just look at all of that information and make wise decisions. But when someone shows up ready, that's the most important thing. When they show up, if they show up, period, that's a good thing. Even when they're not ready. I don't know, say they have a toothache and they show up like, I'm here, but I'm not, in the best, way right now, but I'm still here. So I look at that. And then of course their experience, their knowledge, their education, non-traditional education, because I'm a non-traditional education person. Most of my learning had been distant education, non-accredited by, like my MBA stands for something different from your MBA. But School of Hard Knocks, it's relative to where we are now in the world. So you definitely want someone that is committed and disciplined, and you look at their work, their life history to make a decision. But when I've chose my heart to partner with some people, it hasn't always been a good situation. So not too much of that.
Great. Thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you missed, like, this lady's just dropping gems. Like, see, when you have 17 years of experience, see, a lot of you missed this. But what she just touched on, it was that realizing that you don't need anyone's permission. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need the dominant society, the purple people, the green people. No, especially in this day and age, like this day and age, you can literally, after this, watching this interview, and create your own association. Literally, you can create your own association. One of my mentors, literally everything I do entrepreneurship wise came from him. He was like, yeah, I got my PhD. It's like, man, that's amazing. Like, what school did you go to? School that I go to, it's a professional hustler's degree. I was like, what? PhD? And he was like, and he would put PhD behind his name. He was like, listen, I don't need nobody to validate. I'm a grown man. And I say I got a PhD. This is what it stands for. Now, if you want to ask and you want me to expound upon it, then I will be glad to. But I have a PhD from my school, from my journey. I don't need you to validate it, and I don't need permission. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're watching, you're like, well, I need to get these certs, or I need to get now, of course, if you're dealing with in STEM or STEAM, and there's certain certs that you need, by all means, I'm not saying don't do that. Do what you need to be to get certified and to know what you're doing. However, at the end of the day, consumers and customers are what they care about is, can you produce? Can you say what? Can you do what you say you're gonna do? What you can do in a professional manner, and nobody gets hurt.
Oh, yes. You hit on it. You said professional. That is important. Yeah.
Professional.
Mhm.
Let me ask you this, Jorae. Do you prefer me to call you Jorae or Kelly?
Jorae is fine. I mean, it's Kelly Jorae, just so people know. But Sweet Jorae is the name that my father gave me from a amazing album produced many years ago. We'll talk about that one day.
Fantastic, fantastic. I think one of the problems, not I think, I know, because I have everything that I do is based on data. And the data proves that a lot of entrepreneurs or self-employed entrepreneurs, they suffer from a phenomenon called the monopoly complex. And what the monopoly complex is a term that I coined, in which they believe that they are the only person on God's green earth that does what they do. Meaning, this catfish recipe that has been in our generation since Big Mama's Big Mama, Big's Mama, this is the best catfish on God's green earth. And because we have the best catfish recipe, we can treat you like dirt because you're going to want to come back for our catfish. That's the biggest, and I have data to support that, Kelly.
I believe you.
A lot of people think that funding is the biggest problem for Black-owned businesses. It is not funding. Funding, a lot of these businesses that are considered businesses are not on that level to even be in the data. These are self-employed contractors with a business license. And they cannot go from self-employed to business owner, not because of funding, it's because of poor customer service. Listen, don't debate me with this. I have 17 years of data.
I believe you.
It's customer experience and taking the time to create an awesome customer experience in that monopoly complex way. They feel like it's my way or the highway. We have the best. We're the best in sliced bread, and we can speak to you and talk to you any way we want to. And that's the biggest thing that I see that's stopping growth, that's stopping scalability. And it's literally a sore. It's a sore on Black businesses. And I try consistently. That's the reason why I pick up the customer experience flag. I'm like, listen, if we get this, because it's not that big of a deal. It's a 6 millimeter shift. It's a simple shift. And the problem is because a lot of them are first generation business owners. So they grew up saying, my mama told me I could do whatever I can do and I can be what I want to be. So a lot of them have this disposition that it's my way or the highway. So it can be changed. It won't be changed with this generation. It will be changed in the generation that comes after them. But they have to see there's a problem. The problem that I run into when I'm coaching is that I show the mirror to them and they're like, well, this is a dirty mirror. No, the mirror is not dirty. This is what you look like. Nah, that's a dirty mirror. You need some Windex. Sir, this is a clear mirror. This is you. And they push back, and then, oh, you can't tell them anything. And then 6 months later, I see them working at Walmart, checking back. I'm like, what happened to the business? Oh, you want to talk to people how you want to. So now you're working for Walmart, and you can't talk to people how you want to, or you're going to be fired. If you had just listened 6 months ago, you wouldn't have this problem. How were you able to mitigate or navigate that so that you're in business 17 years? Because I never experienced that with you, where you would give me feedback, or even when I would give you feedback about, hey, you do this, this will really, really take you to the next level. And you were receptive all the time that I've suggested, hey, you should do this, you shouldn't do this. You were receptive. Why did the monopoly complex miss you? Was that something that came from your mentors, or just who you are?
Well, it it was my level of commitment, to providing good service. It's kind of ingrained in me, and I'm, third generation from, business owner. So
Mm.
I grew up in a family, owned and operated business. It was my father's, it was his love child, business. He owned a retail record store in Los Angeles, California. And he also had publishing companies, recording. He did music, and he worked in the jazz music sector, and particularly with Blue Note jazz albums. So growing up watching him interact with his customers, to me, it was like a fun business, but it wasn't always fun because, we got to pay bills and we got to meet, numbers in business. And sometimes that could be stressful, just depending on what's going on economy wise and how you communicate, to your customer. So I do have that, on my side. But as far as just, mitigating, the customer experience, I am sensitive, even though I could be a little hard knock, I'm sensitive to, when they leave, I hope they like it, So to help people understand, Sacred Waters is, a holistic wellness center. And one of the services that I've offered, throughout the duration is colon hydrotherapy. And colon hydrotherapy is, a very unique service. But in the area that I'm in, there's probably like 4 people, in that area that provide that same service. And I remember when the third spot opened, people were like, "Oh my gosh, that particular location has multiple locations. They've expanded, differently than the way I've expanded, but I just knew there was something unique about me. And even though like mom's, hot sauce, has some unique things about it. And there's another one, on the shelf, and there's another one on the shelf. As an entrepreneur, we've all heard of this analogy. You got McDonald's right here, Burger King right here, Taco Bell, and now Chick-fil-A, and they're all surviving in the same, facility. We all have something unique, but if your service, no matter how good a product you have, no matter how, good it looks, if your service, if the experience that you provide to your customer is underwhelming, is what I'm hearing is the new trend now. It's
Underwell?
underwhelming. Oh, this is underwhelming.
Underwell.
I
That's
learned new
terrific.
words. That's what
Underwhelming.
that's what the underwhelming experience. Just making sure that people have an attitude of gratitude, right? And I've experienced having, people on my team that have struggled with that. And there's a reason why they're there. They're good at something. So it's like, why do I keep this person here? I think you've asked me that in the past about, a previous, employees, like, why is she even here? You know, some people have a really hard time smelling, so they don't need to be up front. They don't need to be. They may need to be in the warehouse packing boxes or, doing something in the background, But that experience is so important. And so just like you should have an operating agreement for your business, an operating, statement, you should have a customer experience statement for your business. So if you go to Moe's, what do they say when you walk in the door? Welcome to Moe's.
I'm sorry.
Welcome to Moe's. If you go into certain businesses, I remember
Chick-fil-A. I have kids. Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, they greet you at the door, right?
Yep.
Sometimes it gets mundane. It's like, or they have, unfortunately, they're multitasking. They're checking out a customer, thank you for coming in to, Hobby Lobby, and it's like, were they speaking to me or were they speak? It just, all becomes blend in. So having a plan, from the time they walk into the door or from the time you pick up the phone, because me, it's from the time you pick up the phone. I have a script for the phone, and if you read it, I don't care. If you sound like you're reading that script, because after you done read it 10, 12 times, eventually it's going to be, thank you for calling Sacred Waters. How may I help you? You're going to have it down. You'll know what to say when the person asks the most frequently asked questions. So, having a plan for something like that is important in your business. You have to have systems. And some people have to learn how to think in systems with everything. So that's a process in itself. Some people don't know how to develop a system. So, what my mentor taught me how to think in systems, with everything. There should be something for everything.
I'm not sure if she read the book, but she's quoting the book verbatim. So you can also get everything that she's talking about in my book at weswalters.com. I swear I did not, she did not know about these questions, but she's talking about so many things about the script. We talked about that in chapter 1 about how important the script. Like, well, script is going to make you sound like a robot. No, if you say it enough times, it's going to become second nature. Once you master the script, then you no longer need the script and you can serve that client at a world-class level. Whatever they throw at you, you don't have to figure out, oh, what do I say next? No, the script is embedded. The script is so important. That touch point, you have 7 seconds for someone to be like, this person is an idiot, I'm gone. However, if they're reading the script, welcome to Sacred Waters, blah, 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 at least, even if you sound robotic at first, at least they know this person is reading something and it's professional. Chances are, if you're reading the script, you are not going to be unprofessional or underwhelming.
Right. And it's okay to let people know that you're in training and that you don't know, but I'm going to do the best that I can to help you. And if we get to a place where I'm not able to, I'm going to get someone to help you. So it's, again, thank you for calling Sacred Waters. This is Jorae in training. How may I help you? If you have to do that.
And guess what? People are more forgiving. Like, so many gems. If you say you are in training, how many times have you been at a cash register and you're like, man, I really got to go. I really got to go. And as soon as you get close enough, you see the sign that says cashier in training. Automatically, you are like, let me give him a pass. Let me give her a pass because they're new. It's almost like, I'm late. I'm running late. Same feeling. I'm running late. I'm 25. I'm the 305. And then when you see the sticker, student driver, you're like, makes sense. Or elderly driver. You're like, oh, right. Offer grace. Yeah. Offer grace. After this, Jorae. Also, when the other 3 businesses that do what you do opened, what was your competitive advantage? What made you stand out amongst the crowd?
Well, you focus on yourself more than you would focus on what the other business is doing, but you can almost look and see, unique differences. I probably maybe shouldn't say it, but I feel like, I'm small in size, and I offer a more intimate, experience for my clients. And it's more of a one-on-one approach, and people really like that. They do appreciate that. And part of that had to do with the way I started, right? So, they say the way you start is the way you end. And I had to get out my way to learn how to expand with still providing that intimacy and that, that one-on-one experiences that my clients, like. And so I've done that now. But, you look at your unique characteristics, your personality, and you build from those things. Because, no 2 people are really alike. We can find like minds, but that is part of the strategy that I used. And then, some of the techniques that I was able to expand on, within how I service my client. I've literally had people come to my, and I hope this hasn't happened with me, but have booked an appointment for, a service, come to my location and didn't have an appointment. I was like, I don't have you here. And then they look, oh, I wanted to come to this place. That's why I'm here, but I booked with the wrong place. And I'm like, oh, wow, I don't like that happens, but it does when you have, you know, these like similar businesses that offer very unique services, similar unique services. And so this story I really like, you know. So maybe the horns will go off of this. But this particular person, she said, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm going to go on over there. And she went over there, and the service, she would have been there for at least an hour. She was back in like 15 minutes. She said it was dirty. It wasn't clean. And I say, really? And this is a place that's very popular, that has had a lot of success, right? That's what this particular, client shared with me. And so I'm on it. I mean, elbows, I'm still involved, even though I have someone that does, some of the more laborious work. I still do it because my name is on the, on the door. So it's important to me. Do I plan on getting away from that? Yeah, I do. I'm more and more I am, but I'm still checking, making sure that when a client walks into my door, that they get, the safest experience possible. So that's important to me. But just looking at those, having that type of information, has helped a lot. And over the years, I've had quite a few clients tell me, you could charge more. I've gone to other places and I don't want to go anywhere else, but I've learned so much more, coming to you than I have. I've had even people say, can you be my doctor? No, I can't. And don't even put me in that box. I don't practice medicine. I don't play around because I don't want anyone knocking on my door, but I've had people who have, made those type of references, and I'm grateful, to be able to help. And I don't, try to be that to anyone. I like for people to have their doctor and work with their doctor and then work with me as well. And we just kind of work with all that good information, and helping them. But as far as, the business side, like, you got to tap into your personal unique characteristics and put that in the customer experience, because they can't, they can't go down the street and talk to Jorae and get the knowledge that Jorae has. So it's developing, concepts, your unique blueprint, bringing those things together and putting that out there, for the clients. So that's what I've done. And that's what's worked with me for my sustainability.
What she's saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that authenticity is priceless. No matter how many books I read or YouTube videos I watch about hydrocolon therapy, or if I read the Jorae autobiography, I could still never be more Jorae than Jorae. That in it itself is a competitive advantage. And listen, I get questioned, I get asked a lot. Mr. Walters, I can't afford you. I can't afford you. How can I get started with customer experience? Great question. I'm glad you asked. Simple things. Cleanliness is a part of the customer experience. The human touch is a part of this customer experience. I want to be very clear. There is nothing at her establishment that's groundbreaking. She doesn't have the latest 30,000 feet size monitor. She doesn't have the amazing new HVAC. None of that stuff. It's a simple business that I've been going to for over a decade because of the simple stuff. So how do you get started with customer experience? Mastering the simple stuff. Like I keep telling you guys, McDonald's didn't stop serving coffee. There was no McCafe until they had perfected the Big Mac, Coke, and a fries. If you eat Big Mac, Coke, and a fries, shame on you. However, it's for the point, the message I'm getting. They did not start McCafe until they had perfected the Big Mac, Coke, and a fry. So how do you get started with customer experience? Mastering the basics. If you are a restaurant, your basics are hot food, cold drinks. Period. Not comma, not parenthesis. Period. Master that.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? It's free. You don't have to pay Mr. Walters anything. Just master the basics. That's how she got me as a loyal customer. I came in, it was clean, She greeted me. It wasn't bro. How you doing? Shouted. It was Mr. Walters. How are you? I'm so happy that you're here. Tell me about your history. Are you hydrated? Are you doing this? Guess what? And she mastered the free prize inside. I paid for this, and she over delivered. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in business and you are not giving your customers more than they're paying for, you will not be in business. Right now, under this new administration and the next and the one after that, it's forcing you to do more with less. You have to. Customer loyalty is at an all-time low, unless you're an all-star like her. But if you're not doing the base, see, here's the thing. A lot of the customers operate in a vacuum. They're like, well, I sell notebooks and I'm only concerned about notebooks. No. Your customers, Jorae's customers, have the expectation of Amazon and Apple. They want it now, and they are used to, like, Amazon, Apple, Zappos have raised the bar. Listen, if you cannot, C+ is not going to make it anymore. You're not going to survive. Listen, don't let anyone shame you about having a square job. Listen, some of you need to go back to a square job. Your family is dependent on you. Because C+ is no longer going to make it. The floor, Amazon has raised the expectations for the children. They understand now, if I order something, depending on what, like, I live in Newton County. If I order it by 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to get it by 10 o'clock the same morning because there's a warehouse in my county. So your customers, if you sell notebooks, you can't say, well, it's going to be here in a week. No, your customer is used to getting it delivered by 10 a.m. The minute you don't do that anymore, you're in competition with Amazon, even though you're in a totally different industry, because the expectations of the consumer right now is by 12, definitely by tomorrow, rain, snow, or sleep the next day. If it's not here the next day, order cancel, we go into your competition.
That is so true. That is.
It is. It's the truth.
Here and now. People want it here and now as much as they possibly can. We're not.
Now, no, Dre, within those 17 years, and we're winding down right now. What kept you motivated in the difficult days? Because I know there were difficult days.
Yeah, there have been many difficult days, and we still have difficult days. And as I had mentioned before, it's all in the choices that we choose, mentally. Your mind could be your best friend or your worst enemy. So, keeping positive thoughts and surrounding yourself around positively thinking people, really helps when you have those hard days. So, choosing your heart, like one of the conversations that I have with my clients is, we get stuck. We all get stuck. And you could choose being stuck or you can choose healing. When you choose healing, there's such a more beautiful experience on the other side of that than staying stuck. So, the choice is in mental thinking. So I take time out for myself to ground, and I use a variety of, rituals and practices, for my health and wellness to keep myself grounded, when I feel out of touch. So that really, makes, all the world difference, for me, when I'm dealing with, a hard day, because they're going to come. I mean, look at the world, they're going to come.
Yeah. And it's so important too that business owners or managers understand, or those at the helm of the organization, that if they are not grounded, if they're not stable, if they're not healthy, everything else runs downhill. It affects, especially, let's talk about the self-employed. Like, if you are the only employee, you're the director, the CEO, the accountant, if your mental game is off, business goes down. Why, again, it's so important to have systems in place, because even when you're all, man, this lady has so much gems. Like, we're going to have to turn this into a series. Like, there's so much to unpack.
I'm with it. I am so with it. I have so much that I do want to share, so I'm saying yes.
We have her on film, ladies and gentlemen. She's agreeing to it. We're going to turn this into a series because there's so much to get into an hour. We're not going to do justice by trying to cram everything in an hour. So we're going to have her back. She's going to be a repeat offender, like most of my guests are. We're going to have her back. It's a lot of people feel when they jump on this entrepreneurship roller coaster that my vision is this. And what I get from a lot of clients is that they are disappointed when they bring on a team player, and they're like, well, Mr. Walters, what do I do? This is a question I get a lot when my clients are like, my team is not as gung-ho for me. And I would tell them, like, listen, that's your baby. You've been thinking about this since the 6th grade. They just need a job to pay their bills. So you can't expect them to have the amount of zeal as you. However, you still have to be operating from a place of professionalism, and you don't have to be 10 steps ahead of them. You just have to be one step ahead of your team member, just one step. How important, Jorae, is health and wellness? I know you talked about you take time to ground yourself. How important is overall health, especially right now? I'll be the first to say I'm a hypocrite. I'm a refined West. This is the new and improved Renaissance Wes Walters. I subscribed for most of my life to that hustle culture. Sadly, like it terrifies me of the damage I've done to my body. A lot of people always say, Wes, you look so good for your age. I would have looked a lot better. I would have looked younger and healthier if I didn't do so much damage to my body. Like, I was hustle, part of Hustle University, like hustle, grind, sleep when you die. How important is exhale is to inhale?
I'm going to just say it, like, health is the most important thing. It is. I mean, unless you just don't have a desire to live a long life without disease, without aches and pains. If you do plan on living a long life, do you want to be able to continue to take care of yourself? You want to be able to get up and down without using a walker or using a help? Those type of things. We don't think about them when we're in our 20s and our 30s. We make maybe a little bit when we're in our 40s. It crosses our mind, but you don't want to lose your vitality. You don't want to lose your vibrancy ever. And things change. And as a woman, it changes. It's like, oh, I would love to be in that 2-piece, bikini on the beach and feel confident. And as your health declines, you lose your confidence, and if you are an entrepreneur, you have to be confident in what you're doing, and so if you're feeling bloated, if you're feeling heavy, with a lot of the women that I work with, they're bloated, heavy, and they're done with it, it's hard to be, confident, even in a professional career. You want to feel good in your body, and you want to look good, as much as possible. So for some people, they don't make health a priority, but without health, nothing really is going to matter. Nothing else really matters. And you don't have to be a health, freak or geek, or, you don't have to abide by a particular dietary theory. You don't have to eat keto or Mediterranean or vegan or, carnivore, omnivore. You eat for yourself. You eat, the foods that are going to nourish you, when you really understand what you're working with. So that's what I do with my clients, is I help direct them on what their body needs, because I'm doing lab testing. I'm testing their blood, whatever it may be, blood, urine, stool, hair analysis, whatever they would need, so that I can get them on the other side of transformation. Remember, I want people to go from misery to paradise island. And if you want that in your career or in your business, it's all the same thing. So, you got to think in those systems. You got to develop systems. The same with your health, as it with your business. So I think of my business as my third child because I have two adult children, and my business is my third. You know, so your health. Think of it as I think of my health as my I have a husband, but then I have my business that's my health as my partner, my health, my profile. So however, you have to think about it to help you to keep things up, because it's not fun when you can't take care of yourself, when you can't get out of the bed, when you can't walk up the stairs anymore, or you can't get up to get a cup of water because your health has declined, and some things, unfortunately, we can do all the right things and we still may run into a wall. But when you have mentorship and you have systems, because unfortunately and we definitely got to talk about this another time, our medical system has been broken for so long. It has been. And we got to take care of ourselves. We have to become more independent. You're totally responsible for your health. No one else is. You have to do the work. Sorry.
Yeah. A rich person has many goals. A sick person has one goal, which is to get well.
That's right.
That's it. Man, Jorae, I really enjoyed this. Before I let you go, man, so there was a part of my life where I was in that hustle culture, and I saw a passage, just random passage on Instagram that popped up that changed the trajectory of my life, where I was like, all right, no more Mountain Dews, no more. Back then, like, if you're older, if you're like Jorae and myself, you know about something back then. There was a device. We're gonna call it a device called No Dose. This was before 5-hour energy drinks, before Monster. If you're an OG, you know about No Dose.
Mm-hmm.
Google No Dose for the young heads. I used to pop No Dose like Flintstone vitamins. Like, Jorae, I did so much damage to my body, to my kidney, I'm so blessed that I'm still here, I'm still healthy, but I always think about how younger you could have looked, how healthier you could have, how much more pounds you would have been able to bench press if you didn't do that damage, because biology always wins. That check that you cash, you're going to have to be able to, biology's coming back. People think, well, oh, you're not going to know. We see people all day, entertainers who damage their body young, whether in the 20s, and now they're 50, they think it's all. And that debt comes back to be paid. Died from a stroke, died from a heart attack. Young, 50. Young.
Yeah. It's not cute.
Young.
It's not cute.
Young. Like, young. And if you go back to some of the interviews, they'll say, I've been cleared, I've been clean for 10 years. But that damage for the 30 years, if you're lucky, you can recover. A lot of us are not that lucky. So health is wealth. You are the CEO of your wealth and your health. If you get sick, everything stops. So please get rest. It's so, you're talking to, again, I have a PhD, a professional hustler's degree. And it took for me to say, hey, man, look, cell repair is important. Cell repair is important. And cells are repaired when I sleep. All right, I need to sleep. All right, listen, Jorae, I'm going to give you what's some rapid fires right now before we leave. These are some quick bam, bam, bam questions just to get find out a little more about who Miss Jorae from the left coast, which is the best coast, who she is, all right?
Okay.
Beach or mountain?
Okay. How do I play this?
So what do you prefer? A beach? Cabin in the beach? A cabin at the beach, or a cabin in the mountain?
Beach.
Beach. All right. Tofu or mushrooms?
Tofu.
All right. Coffee or ginger shots?
Honestly, coffee.
Silent, self-reliance, or dependent on the collective?
Self-reliance.
What's one thing that people assume about you or your business that just isn't true?
That I'm a devout vegan and I just eat rabbit food.
Excellent. And one last thing, Jorae, what is the essence of Jorae?
Sweetness, mastering beauty and abundance.
Man, listen, I really, really enjoyed this interview. No, really, like I really did. Like, we got to do more. We got to do more. There's so much more. As you asked, and as I asked the questions and you answered, 5 more questions came up for each question. So, like, I have like a bunch of questions that I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be a 5-hour interview. So, I'm gonna do this again. I thank you so much for your presence. Thank you so much for your
Having me.
man. It was my pleasure. We should have done this years ago.
I love what you do. Well, we tried to like 20, 30 years ago. We talked about it, even though it wasn't 20, 30 years, but like it was in the frequency. It was developing. So real with it. And I don't know if you remember this. When you wrote your book, I was like, that is what, if I wasn't in health and wellness, I would definitely be in like the side of customer experience, because I love having great experiences when I interact with businesses. So if I'm forced to go in not forced, but if I feel like compelled to go into a big box retail store, I know a lot of us are not doing that right now. I go in the early morning hours when the store is like clean and fresh, and the music, you can actually hear it, and you're in there just putting things in your basket and shopping because it feels good. Like, the experience for me is everything. It's not just I'm paying my money, so this is what I want. That attitude, I don't, that's not good. So I love what you do. I admire it. So and I do have the book, and it's signed. I got an autographed copy of the book. And it means a lot to me. So thank you for what you're doing. It's amazing. And I want you to keep it up, keep doing it, because Black businesses, especially young developing Black businesses, they need this type of knowledge, and they need the support. So I'm standing right there, holding you up.
Thank you so much, Jorae. Before we go, where can the viewers find you? Please blast your websites, your social media, or whatever platform that you are comfortable with or active on.
So if someone is really like seeking help, if you are a woman or a man and you feel, like you're bloated, you're heavy, and you're done with it, you can go to sacredwaters.net and go to the functional medicine tab and book you an appointment with me. I do have a special no charge consultation. You can do that. But I am on all of the social media platforms. I'm on Instagram at Sacred Waters Wellness. I'm on Facebook as Sacred Waters, LinkedIn, YouTube, Sacred Waters. You will find it. But the website is sacredwaters.net. Thank you.
Awesome. There you have it, Miss Jorae. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being such an amazing, amazing guest. And I look forward to doing this again. Until next time, thank you guys for tuning into another awesome episode of Business Reviews. And I'm the host, Wes Walters. And we had the amazing, beautiful, sweet Jorae. And thank you for your time again, Jorae. All right?
All right. Peace. Thank you. Peace.
Awesome.